each week, or maybe it's every other week, whatever it may be, for college track and field. And so I got my top five. Noah's got his top five. Let's start with the men's side. So we want to just go one and one. So like, hey, I'll do one, then you do one, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
cool. That works. Let's do it.
cool. I'll start at my five. We'll go from 5 to 1. See if we're even there. So number 5 for me, I've got Washington. I think that there's always a few of these distance teams that just completely dominate. Now, usually like indoors is a sprinting championship from like what I've gathered over the years, but there's always one that like they just go and dominate in that distance field. And they've got a guy in third and fifth in the 800. They're 1-2 in the mile, and then they're 5 in the 3K. Like they've got the talent in the distance events to go through and put up some numbers. I know they've been up there before with in a couple championships in the past. So I got Washington for me at my 5.
Yeah, I like that, bro. I have Washington on my list, so not at the 5 spot, but I do have them on my list. I see it is hard to win an indoor title with just a distance team. I think the last time we saw a predominantly distance team win an indoor title was Oregon, probably back in 2021, their men's team, but they still have Makai Williams in the 60. So, you probably are going to need some scoring elsewhere. But at my 5 spot, I took Texas Tech. Um, Texas Tech's been a good program for the last few years on the men's side, especially with the sprints. Sean Brown, 60-meter, Malachi Snow, 60-meter, Antoine Andrews, 60 hurdles, and a 400-meter guy too. So if you got that many qualifiers at the indoor meet, like that's kind of half the battle. So I kind of formulated my list based on who are the teams that really have a lot of NCAA qualifiers right now at this point in the season.
Because it's only top 16 for indoors, or is it
See, when I
top?
was making the list, I couldn't remember if it was top 16 or top 12 because I think
Yeah,
it's one or the other, but it might be top 16, but it might be top 12 as well.
that's like such an elite group of like what you got to be in. Because like to make it to NCAAs, I mean, for regionals, what was it? It's like top 48 in your
Yeah,
region,
yeah,
and
48.
then yeah, so it's like it's like top. What would that be? Like almost top 100, top 96 in the
Yeah,
country, essentially. And then, but to go down to indoors, it's like, nah, you have to be literally like top 60. That's fast. You got
yeah.
to be a dog to make it to ends. So you say indoor NCAAs are obviously much more difficult to make it to than outdoor NCAAs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it is way harder to make it to an NCAA indoor championship than an outdoor championship for sure.
Yeah, you'll always see every once in a while there'll be a couple like dogs that like miss out because it's just like, hey, the season's short. You don't get many track meets to put down a time, and if you mess up a couple times, like you ain't gonna make it. Like I know
Yeah,
Joe Famble, he missed it the year that he won like those two, the 1 and the 2, I think it was. So
it's crazy.
it's it's crazy, man. It's a doggy dog world. Next for me in my 4 spot, I've got Florida.
Okay.
So they've got McCoy in fourth in the 60. They're also first in the 4x4. They got a couple other runners that haven't gone yet, that we haven't seen hit the track right now. And so I think that they'll have a few others that we haven't seen. So that's one where they don't quite have the number of people in the championship qualifying point yet, but I know that they will, and they're always a competitor at this meet. And so I figure, hey, we haven't seen Justin Braun, we haven't seen Toby run really yet, so it's like I feel they're going to come out and drop something. So I think we'll probably see them coming out soon here.
It's always a safe bet going with the Gators. I'm not mad at that, especially. I mean, like you said, teams were canceling their meet because of the weather, so it's kind of just skewing the way that things would look right now at this point in the season. So I'm not mad at Texas or at Florida. My bad, being at the 4th spot. But at my 4th spot, I had Iowa State. They got a few different NCAA qualifiers around the field. Some distance guys, high jump guy, 3K, 5K. So, like I said, when I was making this list, I wanted to find teams with a lot of people performing at a high level right now at this point in the season, and Iowa State is right there in the mix.
That's not like a school that you think of very much for like having some crazy talent. Like that's new to the fold right
Yeah.
now. I guess like just Big Ten is not they haven't put together a team that and is Iowa State in the Big Ten? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they are, right?
Big 12
Big
team.
Big 12? Okay. Yeah, you haven't seen many of these teams like coming out and challenging for these championships. So it could be nice to finally get some different different schools in the mix, man. Then for me, for my third place team, I'm going to go with Texas. So Texas, they've got their first and fifth in the long jump right now, so they're doing pretty well in the field events. They also got their 10th in the vault, and then they're leading the country in that 400. And so they're someone else where they've got a decent amount, and one thing that I do like a lot is it's not just in the running events, it's also on in the field events, because I think that like diversifying what you have is great. Like you don't want to have just one person, like have everything be on one individual, because then if they just have a bad meet, then you're screwed. Like if you're it's like, hey, I'm right. It's like it's ride or die on whoever it is. It's like, all right, well then sometimes you're gonna ride, sometimes you're gonna die. Like it's gonna be tough. And so I like that they've got a decent kind of spread there. And so and pretty high up in those rankings. So leading the country in the four. So I feel good about them with them in my three.
Yeah, that's a good pick for sure. And in my three spot, I got Texas A&M. So I think Texas A&M is a team that's always going to be deep, always going to have a lot of bodies, a lot of guys, a lot of scholarship money. And they got like 3 or 4 guys already qualified in the 400 meter. That's not Ahmad Robinson, and he's probably the biggest name on their team. I think this could be his year to kind of step up and prove some people wrong here. And they also are going to have a good 4x4 and a really good DMR. So I think those weird plug and play type of events, I think they'll really be one of the more elite teams at because of their depth.
Yeah, they're going to be a team, one of these teams to beat. Bless you.
Thanks, brother.
uh, for me, I've got Texas A&M at my two. They've got, like you said, their depth in the 400 right now is pretty incredible. Like they've got their number 2, 4, and 5 in the 400 in the country. Yeah, and like you said, Ahmad Robinson hasn't even ran yet. So it's like, so you've got that crazy depth before your top guy has even ran in the 400, and he's second in the 200 right now. So it's like
Right.
he's putting up times, and he had that crazy, what was it, a 500 or 600 earlier this year.
Yeah.
So he's going to be looking good there. And then on top of that, they also are number 2 in the pole vault. So they are also adding some extra strength in one of those field events that that can be a sneaky 8 points. Like that can be make or break between what it is of are you going to be taking home this championship, or are you leaving in second or third place. So I think they've got some decent talent, especially with that 400 quartet that they got.
Definitely, bro. Like, and the thing with the indoor championship, I feel like you could probably win with like 45 points, like 45 to 60 points. Anywhere in that range, you can win a championship. So if you could pick up 10 in a DMR, 8 in a 4x4, they can get like up to 12, like 12, 14 points in a 400. Grab that 8 in the pole vault, you're a national champ. So they're definitely a contender. At
Yeah,
my
there's
two,
so. Oh,
oh,
sorry. Yeah, I was going to just say, yeah, like I completely agree. Like with these, there's a lot of these teams, and a lot of them have like are scoring in the same spaces. Like, hey, my top guys are running similar events as other schools' top guys. So it's like, you're not going to need to blow out another team to completely win. Like you may, it's going to be really close. So yeah, what were you saying for your second spot? Sorry.
yeah, my second spot, I had the University of Washington. They're all on top of the leaderboard for this mid distance to distance kind of field. The 800 got 145 guy that kind of popped out at me a little bit. I'm not sure how much faster this 800-meter field is going to get, but as of right now, they got 2 guys at the top of the leaderboard, another guy in there in that top 12, 2 guys for the mile. So they look like a really elite team that could. I mean, if you have powerhouses like that in the mid distance, you can also can contend. So I threw them at my second spot.
Yeah, they're going to be competitive in it. I like my one of my, I guess, honorable mentions from the distance crowd that I didn't put in was North Carolina. I know that they've got two guys in the what with Parker Wolf over there in the distance event. So I think they're going to be, someone that could put it together. And you're not going to need, like you said, you don't need a whole lot of points. Like if you go 1-2 in like two events, you got a chance,
Yeah,
bro.
you got a
Like
chance.
if you can go 1-2 in like the 3K, or in the I guess what is the mile and the 3K. I know it's the events are slightly different than they are in outdoor, but like if they can do that, like yo, you're in contention for winning this thing, or you're definitely up there. So there's a couple people that I'm sure will sneak out of here that wasn't thinking of. Then for my one spot, it sounds like both of us have the exact same one spot right now. They've been on an absolute tear, but it's the University of Southern California, USC. They've just been showing up and showing out recently. Top two in the 60, 4 and 6 in the 200, and number one in the 60-meter hurdles. One thing I'm also curious on, because their guy that's number one in the 60 right now, JC Stevenson, he won the long jump national championship last year. And so is he going to double back and attempt to do the long jump in the NCAA championship this year as well, and then try to go for the 60 long jump double? Because that would add even more points to what they've got. And then I'm not sure if Makai Williams is running indoors. I mean, we still haven't seen him touch the track yet, but adding him into the fray of now you have potential to have the top 360 meters in the entire country on your team, like that is going to make it nearly impossible to come back from. So yeah, I think USC is just head over heels above everyone else, and we haven't seen them put together a really talented indoor team yet. We've seen them do really well outdoors, so it's nice to see them try to put together this indoor squad right now.
Yeah, USD is on fire right now, bro. You said it. You touched on it. I think they got an opportunity to do something special, especially with JC. Like you mentioned, being a long jump 60 guy, he might be a potential Bowerman candidate if he can do this, pull this off, and then obviously lead that into outdoors in the 100 in the long jump. So right now, man, USC is obviously the hottest team. They got the top dogs in like the flashier sprint events. And they haven't really put together their relay team yet. So I'll be excited to see what that 4x4 would look like as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and like I don't know if Johnny Blockberg is just doing indoors, or is he doing indoors and outdoors? Like I've been hearing some people saying he's just. I'm sure I could probably message him and figure it out, but like if he's only doing indoors, then you're going to probably get just like a crazy season from him, because I'm sure he's got a lot of like if you're coming back. I guess I'm curious on your thoughts of it. If you're coming back for only an indoor season, that means that you must really be like you're on the cusp of trying to get what that next like contract might look like. Like what do you like you think if it's like you don't even have an outdoor season, you're not going for outdoors, like is that what am I looking into that the right way?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably trying to maximize what you have left in college.
Mhm.
Try to make yourself look better to a brand, or check off the list. I was NCAA champion, and this is my last chance. So I'm sure he's going to try to optimize these next 6 weeks that we have in the indoor season.
Yeah. So he'll be a